Hello and welcome to We Just Quoting the podcast, but we do more than just quote. This is We Just Quote Wednesday, and today I'll be talking about bettering yourself and this week's quote of the week, which will be revealed in the podcast. Stay at the end of the podcast to get a clue about next week's podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so you know exactly when a new podcast comes out, and tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend. Now let's get into it. If you cast your mind to last week's We Just Quote Wednesday podcast, which is titled Believe in You, which you should definitely check out if you have not already, at the end of the podcast, I said, just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. Let me repeat that for you. Just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. Now, let me give you some context, some meaning. Well, it was said by a character called Shuri in the film Black Panther, which is an amazing film. And I know I talk about films a lot, but there's a lot of films, a lot of movies that have so much meaning, so much heart. And if you really analyze even just sentences that certain characters will say, you can apply it to your life so much and you can see the meaning behind it. And a sentence can have so many layers and depth and meaning that if you just analyze it, you can really amaze yourself what it's trying to show you. But anyway, Shuri, this character, said, just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. A lot of things in this world are good, or at least functional, but there's always room for improvement. While Cherie says this in reference to various technological endeavors, this quote works in so many situations and is actually one of the main messages of the MCU as a whole. For those who don't know what the MCU is, it stands for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is an American media franchise and shared universe centered on a series of superhero films independently produced by Marvel Studios and based on characters that appear in American comic books published by Marvel Comics. For the major technological advancements, like in Black Panther and the Iron Man movies, to political matters like in Captain America Civil War and in our own neighborhoods, like in Spider Man Homecoming, there will always be ways to make things better. Even if you're not a genius in your field, you can apply this mindset to everything from study habits to workplace systems to even something as mundane as household chores. For the world to move forward, we as its inhabitants should be constantly on the lookout for ways to make it better from the ground up. I know I've done a lot of talking there, but in short, you can look at this quote as bettering yourself, bettering what you do and how you live your life. That's how I see the quote anyway. You could see the quote in a totally different light, and that's completely fine because, with quotes, they are a lot of them are up for interpretation, and you as an individual can look at your own life and interpret the quote how you want and use it as a reflection of your own life in whatever shape or form. What I'm getting at and what I'm saying is that you should always strive to do better and be better. We always should. We should always strive to be our best selves and to improve and to evolve. Some things work, yes, but it could be better. It could be improved. We should seek for improvement. We shouldn't just sit on what we have, but look for the next best thing and look for improvements. Because if we didn't, there'll be no change and no evolution. Look what we have today. There's so many examples of working ideas that were improved. Now, if you've listened to any other of my podcasts, you would know that I am a chemistry fan. Chemistry is my favorite science. And the model of an atom, the nuclear model, was a model that was improved and we use it till this day. Like it's in textbooks and it's taught in schools, but this model didn't always start off as how it is. It went through different stages of improvement and seeking to be better and seeking to find a better model for an atom that we now have the model that we have today. I don't know if that really makes sense and corresponds to you guys, but there was this idea, this model, but the model's been improved to what we have today. And if there wasn't this idea of seeking to improve what we have, yes, we can prove it wrong, but I don't think we would have the model of an atom that we have today. Moving a bit away from the chemistry side, you can look at phones, for example, for phones in general. Look back at the olden days, you had a phone could take calls and send text messages, but look at the improvement from a simple phone from like that to smartphones where you can access the internet, you can take photos. We have 4G, we have 5G now. Little advancements like that. A phone works, take a normal brick phone, you can call, you can text, but it could be improved where you can take photos, you can take videos, you can share, you can stream, you can do all sorts, access the internet. Things that worked but were improved. And there are many, many, many more examples of this. Things like household devices, domestic house devices, such as vacuum cleaners. There's cordless vacuum cleaners and vacuum cleaners with the cord. Both do the job, both clean, but an idea of a vacuum was improved to have cordless vacuums, less mess with wires and all that kind of stuff. Because just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. Taking this idea and trying to improve it. You know? The Chinese are developing a type of Wi-Fi that uses light rather than radio waves to emit wireless signals. The speed is as fast as DSL, with the potential to be far faster. Some office buildings in the northwestern United States have already implemented the technology. This is a concept, Wi-Fi, that works. But the Chinese are working to improve it. Just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. The first mass production of televisions was set up in Germany in 1934. A large wooden box with a tiny screen and fuzzy picture used to cost a buyer $445, equivalent to nearly $7,000 today. All of this is truly hard to believe, especially looking at the incredibly slim plasma TV sets with huge screens that can now be bought at any electronics store. TVs, an idea that already worked. You could watch TV, but they were improved. We have slim plasma TVs, not large wooden boxes. Just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. To capture a beautiful moment with digital clarity, we can simply press a button on our cell phone or reach for a small and versatile camera. But back in 1975, you wouldn't have to use a device weighing 8 IBS. Fitted with a cassette player, incidentally, the first digital camera was powered by 16 batteries. This idea to take a photo worked. It required 16 batteries to be powered, but it worked. You could take a photo, but it was improved. You can now do it on your phone with a click of a button. There was this idea, this concept, the ability to take photos that worked, but it could be improved. It was improved. Just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. The first washing machine was patented in 1851. It only vaguely resembled modern devices and had to be operated by means of a hand crank. There also used to be some early contraptions that could wash 10 to 15 sheets at a time by harnessing the power of 10 mules. It's a good thing that we now need electricity to feed our washing machines, not hay. You could wash your clothes back in 1950. 1851 when the first washing machine was patented. It worked, but this idea was improved so that now we only need electricity to wash our clothes, to power washing machines. Just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. The first mention of roller skates dates all the way back to 1743, but those contraptions hardly resemble the design so popular today, and many of the later models doesn't present much of an improvement either. The roller skates we use at present were only created in the late 1970s to help hockey players train off the ice. Roller skates, an idea that worked, was improved to the roller skates we have now. Just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. The first calculators could only perform four functions: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Besides the quality of the calculations depend the quality, forgive me, of the calculations depended not on the device but on the accuracy of the person who performed them. The calculators of today are much simpler to use, more functional, are more important, are more compact, and can do many more functions. A calculator works. It could do four basic functions, but it could be improved, and it was improved because now you can do so much on it. You can do quadratic equations on it, simultaneous equations on it. You name it, you can do it on a calculator. There are even graphic calculators that allow you to draw sine and cosine graphs. Just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. Today's mums can feel at ease in knowing that their babies are safe and sound, even when they happen to be in another room, all thanks to baby monitors, which now come not just in audio but in video format. Amazingly, a couple of centuries ago, rather more cumbersome devices were used to serve the same purpose. Those cumbersome devices serve the same purpose as those as now. However, there was this idea and it was improved to now produce audio and video. Like I keep saying, and will keep saying, and have said, just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. Hard drives. 60 years ago, the first hard drive was presented to the public. It weighed over 14 IBS and had only 5 megabytes of memory. Today, even the simplest cell phones, which weigh about a dozen ounces, can store 10 times more data. An idea that worked, but was improved. Just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. You can apply this to your own life. The way you go about your life, the methods that you use, they can be improved to make your life easier. Are you living your life to the max? Are you living your best life? Are you doing your bit for the environment? What are you doing that works? Can it be improved? Look at how you can better yourself and be your best self and be the best you that you can be. Always strive to be your best self. Always strive to be the best you can be and put your heart into everything you do. Remember, just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. This nicely leads us to this week's quote of the week. It's a new week, so obviously a new quote of the week. And this week's quote of the week is, why settle when you can excel? Why settle when you can excel? Always aim to be your best and do your best in all that you do. There's always room for you to push more and be more. Don't settle for the average when you can push yourself to be above average and do beyond than what you expected. You know your own limits, so don't stop until you surpass them. You can be and do whatever you want to be, but do it by being your best you and being your best self. The script wrote a song featuring Will I Am called Hall of Fame, and I'm sure you've heard of it, but if you haven't, I'll read some of the lyrics to you anyway. But the song is so meaningful and so powerful and so motivating, actually. It's such a power song. A power song because It can give drive, it can give motivation, it can give energy, and it's just so beautiful. The video as well that goes along with the song is just beautiful. And if you truly, really haven't heard it ever, I would recommend it to you. It's called Hall of Fame. Listen to it. It's not that long. It's just such a beautiful song, such a beautiful song. And if you listen to every single word, I think it does give you a bit of hope. You can be the greatest, you can be the best, you can be the King Kong banging on your chest. You can beat the world, you can beat the war. You can throw your hands up, you can break the clock, you can move mountains, you can break rocks. You can go the distance, you can run the mile, you can be the hero, you can get the gold, breaking all the records they thought never could be broke. Be students, be teachers, be politicians, be preachers, be believers, be astronauts, be champions. You can be the greatest, you can be the best. So why settle when you can excel? Go out and be you and do the best you. And don't settle but excel. Push yourself to be the best you that you can be. And don't expect others to push you. Motivation and the drive must come from within. It can be hard, but when you find that drive and that motivation, you are unstoppable. Once you've got that goal, that driving force, which is very personal to you, you can achieve greatness. So why settle when you can excel? Thank you for listening. This has been We Just Quote Wednesday. Make sure you give a like, subscribe, and turn on the post notification bells and do all that good stuff. Look out for mini podcasts in between We Just Quote Wednesdays and stay tuned for next week's We Just Quote Wednesday. If you have any quotes, questions, or topic ideas, email them to wejustquoting@gmail.com. Thank you again for listening, and bye bye for now. Life is like a game of Monopoly. Every game is totally different.